Good morning, good morning, good morning. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and you are breathing. Today is Wednesday, November the 8th, 2023. My name is Stephen Carnegie, and welcome to This Is Just a Thought. Today's word of the day, encapsulate, which means to show or express in a brief way. Encapsulate. Hope everyone is enjoying their Wednesday midweek swing, end of the work week. It's almost here. It's almost upon us again. Man, these days are just flying by. They just are. Wow. Temperature here in North Carolina, surprisingly 70, high 70s, almost 80 degrees. In fact, they're saying tomorrow we're going to hit 80, might get it above 80. Wow, odd for November, but then again, if you're in the South, in North Carolina, you never know what the temperature's going to be. Just don't. But it certainly feels good. I ain't complaining, not at all. But Thursday night, tomorrow night, into Friday, there's a front coming through that's going to bring a little rain, but with that rain comes the cold temperature. So we're going to get back down into the 50s and 60s sometime if we're lucky. But they're also saying that it is also going to rise once again after that. Okay. The past few days, like I said, it's been beautiful here in North Carolina, temperature, weather-wise. Sunny days, pleasant nights, temperatures during the day. Just wonderful. You can sit outside and relax. And unlike most places in this country, you don't have to worry about freezing. Once again, this is North Carolina. This is the South. You never know what you are going to get. Hey, before I go any further, I want to ask each and every one of you out there, if it's your first time or maybe you are a returning listener, hit that like and subscribe button so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts. Hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit that bell so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts. We'll keep you in the loop. You won't be out of the loop. You'll know every time when I drop a podcast. So hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit that bell so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts. Man, yesterday, just like a lot of states here in the United States, yesterday was election day here in North Carolina. More specifically, here in Durham, we elected a new mayor. Mayor Elaine O'Neill, for whatever reason, she decided, hey, I'm not going to run. The reason she gave was, of course, she wanted to spend time with her family. No quarrels there. But we now have a new mayor. Former city councilman Leo Williams. And he won. Boy, did he win. Won by almost 64% over Senator Mike Woodard, who only got 36%. Not too sure how that happened, but apparently the citizens here in Durham, they were listening to what Mayor-elect Williams said, and they bought it, and they bought into it, and they said, hey, he's the guy. Coincidentally, Senator Mike Woodard, he was also a former city council member some years ago. He left Durham City Council and took it to the State House. Maybe folks were upset about that still. Hey, you never know about politics. You just don't. But Leo Williams, Mayor-elect Leo Williams, is a former teacher, former city council member now, and he's also a business owner. So he's pretty well versed, if I can say that. He just is. He's not no slouch, and maybe he can get things in order here in Durham, because one of the hot topics, or the main topic for many of us as citizens of Durham, is the crime, the violence, the shootings. And he made it a part of his campaign also to talk about that and address that. So that Senator Mike Woodard, he made it clear. But there was a little bit of stark contrast between these two, because like I said, Leo Williams, he was a city council member, and he was in on all these programs that were supposed to help improve the community and help the young black and brown youth get a foot in the door by giving them, something to do after schools, programs, job training, educational training, help them get further along so they aren't so bored, so they aren't hanging out, committing crimes or getting involved in violent situations. Whereas Senator Woodard, he was saying, I approve of that program also, but he was more or less saying, hey, we need more police officers. You see where the contrast is? Because if you've been following Durham politics, this city council and this mayor, they supported to defund the police. They implemented these programs to help these marginalized youths out. Senator Woodard was saying, I support those programs too, but I'm more or less on the line of I'm going to get more law enforcement officials on the police force. Leo Williams also said the same thing, but that was a hot topic or a main bullet for Senator Woodard. He wanted it clear. He wanted to make it clear from the jump. Hey, I'm not with the defunding. We need more police on the ground. We need more boots on the ground. So maybe that little contrast, like I said, if you've been following Durham politics, there was a big no-no back here 2 or 3 years ago when that defunded police came along, and they were saying, hey, there's too many police in these marginalized communities. There's no way in the world they could stay. We got to get rid of them, defund them. We need to replace them with these crisis intervention specialists, which coincidentally, Mayor-elect Williams, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, said he supports that program and he's going to give it more funding. So there you go. Citizens of Durham have spoken. We have a new mayor. We have some new city council members also, returning city council members also, some new ones. So it looks like if you're a resident of the city of Durham, looks like it's going to be a continuation for however many years down the line. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not, like I tell you guys a lot of times on this podcast, I'm not trying to be a hard ass or hard butt, Don't want to get banned by YouTube. I'm not trying to be hard or difficult, but I'm just trying to understand and really grasp the concept, which I never fully grasped, of you taking police off the streets in a city that is, let's just be honest with each other, is riddled with crime. There's shootings in Durham, if not every day, every other day. There's violent crimes here in Durham, not every day, every other day. So you decided to take the police off the street and replace them with these crisis intervention specialists for those that are having mental moments. Like I've said before numerous times, not everyone, when the police is called, true, one, police aren't needed. There are some that are having mental moments or whatever, what have you. But then there are some that are straight up violent, and they need to be addressed. Like I said, I'm not trying to be hard. You know what? But this is just the reality of the city we're staying in. This is just the reality of the world we are in now. Yeah, folks do have mental moments, I'll give you that, and they do need help, every little bit of help they can get. But what about these regular citizens that have to contend and put up with this mess all day, every day? So you call the police, you get one of those crisis intervention specialists. Not saying it's not needed, but I think there needs to be a fair balance here. There just is. There's no way you can convince me that defunding the police, which is what many cities around this nation did, defunded the police and put these crisis intervention specialists in. And I got to be honest with you, the last report I read, I can't remember the exact numbers. In a lot of these cities, the crime rose. It went up even more, which is the complete opposite of what this defunding was supposed to do. It was supposed to deter crime. It was supposed to show that these marginalized communities, disenfranchised young men and women, that people cared and they were there to help them. Didn't work like that. We still have crime. And a lot of times, in many of these cities, it's a high number. So, hey, It's like I said, I'm not trying to be funny. I just didn't see the purpose of it. I understand the reasoning behind it, but the actuality in my day-to-day dealings, no, there was no need to defund. I know that sounds odd from me, coming from me, a black man, but I gotta be honest with you. No, there was no need to defund. So anyway, all right, that's enough of me on my soapbox. Newly elected Mayor Leo Williams, we'll see what he does. Maybe he can turn some things around. Another hot topic for both of those guys was the growth and development here in Durham. Once again, if you've been paying attention here in Durham or you're from Durham, you know it is growing rapidly and there's a lot of changes going on. A lot of people are in need of affordable housing. Yeah, the price to rent, good Lord, sweet baby Jesus, is sitting over the top. But that's going on throughout the United States now, we know. So, with the growth, the economic growth and development, he's saying, yeah, but he wanted to include, and I'm talking about newly elected Mayor Leo Williams here, he wanted to include everyone. He wanted everyone involved in the process. Okay, I understand that. He wanted, of course, affordable housing. He wanted to bring better jobs and higher pay to Durham. Understandable. And that sentiment was echoed by Senator Woodard also. So we'll see what happens. Durham is growing, man. It's unbelievable. I go to work and I'm driving through these old communities that I used to drive through, and I got to be honest with you, a lot of times I look around, I don't even recognize them. It has happened over the past 3 to 4 years, because this was starting even before COVID. And I'm thinking, hey, during COVID, things would slack off. It didn't. It picked up, and they ran with it. It's totally different cities from when I came here in 1997, which is a good thing. I honestly do think this is a thing. I'm not knocking any of the development that's going on here in Durham. It's much needed. If you know anything about Durham, Durham for the longest was a laughing stock of North Carolina. It just was. Yeah, I mean, it had, at one point in time, famously got the name Little Beirut. That's it. And I gotta be honest with you, the dilapidated housing, the businesses that left downtown, it did kind of resemble a war. I won't say an all-out war zone, but you could tell there were some issues that were behind the scenes with this infrastructure. You knew that it needed to change. It looks like it's changing. A lot of businesses, a lot of tech companies are coming to Durham. That's a plus. And another thing with the economic growth and development, entrepreneurship. A lot of small businesses or both minority and what have you, it is here in Durham. It's surpassing a lot of other cities and towns here in North Carolina, and it has a lot of people surprised. So my question or my thinking is, with all of this economic growth and development, yeah, you got to do something with that crime. Nobody's gonna come invest their money in a town that like I said, every other day there's a shooting, there's some violence. Yep, I want to say it's normal. We all know there's going to be violence anywhere in this country. That we know. Oh, hold on, folks. That's the thing with doing this here. All right, I'm back. I know you guys saw me waving my hand. You're probably like, what in the world is this fool doing? It's one of those places that has those light sensors that if there's no movement, of course it shuts down. It's conserving energy. But yeah, there is crime and violence in a lot of places here in this country, but let's be honest with each other. And that's part of the reason why Durham was so blighted when I moved here in 1997. No businesses were interested in coming because of the crime. So yeah, that's a hot topic. That has to be cleaned up, and it has to be cleaned up quick. Just does. All right, let's move along here, man. I woke up this morning and I was looking at the morning news, and I saw something, and it kind of startled me. apparently the CDC has came out with a report saying that there's an increase of syphilis cases in newborns. You heard me right. Syphilis in newborns. What they're saying is that in 2022, there were 3,700 cases reported, and that's 10 times more than it was back in 2012. So 10 years later, 11 years later, there's an increase in syphilis cases in newborns. Man, that's something. That's something. Now, I can remember some years ago they did say there was an increase in syphilis cases throughout the United States, but apparently what is happening is these cases, this STD, is being passed on to the kids because what they're saying is due to prenatal care, medical doctor's visits, or screenings, or even treatment, these newborns are being born with syphilis. And a lot of times when they're born, there's a chance of being stillborn, birth defects, or long-term health problems associated with syphilis. So the CDC is coming out and saying, hey, we're urging women that may be, for whatever reason, to get tested. And I always thought that was a given when women get pregnant, but apparently it's not. I thought they were always tested for a number of things, and especially STD. So what they're saying is that a lot of these women aren't getting, not getting tested, but some do know they have it, and they aren't getting treatment. So they're passing it on to their kids. Wow. Just wow. No words. So there's wow. Just to think of a child being born with that. Wow. So there's an increase in syphilis cases in newborns. Man. Over 3,000 cases in 2022 alone. It makes you think, and it kind of makes you wonder also. Hey, not standing on the soapbox, not wagging my finger, not trying to preach to anyone, but man, you gotta know. Just do. All right, let's go get it. Now this next piece, it makes you, it kind of makes you think and ask questions, because Tuesday here in North Carolina, was Tuesday or Monday? I believe it was Tuesday. Well, whatever the case. Earlier this week, 2 Robeson County sheriff deputies were shot multiple times. Now they're fine. Well, I'm not saying they're fine, but they are expected to recovery. They're in good condition at a local hospital. What happened was they were serving a warrant for a probation violation for a murder suspect who was wearing an electronic ankle device, electronic monitor. So apparently they cornered him, and there was a big shootout. And he ended up shooting the deputies, and they ended up shooting him 3 to 4 times, and he's in critical condition in the hospital. Now, what should make you think, or the question that I had when I first heard about it is, he was a murder suspect, he was out on bond, maybe he didn't have enough evidence, but if you're a murder suspect, and actually, he already had a violent record, by the way. I believe there were some robbery charges in there, some assault charges in there also. So he had this young man who had a previous record. It was assault charges, robbery charges. He's out on bond, and one of the conditions of his bond is he's supposed to be wearing this electronic monitoring device, and maybe that was the violation of the condition of his release, because they went to serve that murder warrant, and he got the shooting. And if I'm not mistaken, he shot those 2 deputies and ran over another deputy with the patrol car. That deputy's fine also. So luckily, all 3 of these deputies are expected to recover, and they're fine. But like I said, the suspect, they must have opened up on him 3 to 4 times, and he's in critical condition. Not making light of the situation, not laughing at it. I mean, that's a serious thing right there. Because the question that I had when I first heard of it, because the sheriff himself did a news conference, and he tore into the judge. And he brought up a very interesting point. How can you allow someone to walk around amongst us that has a murder charge, and the only thing you have them doing is wearing an electronic ankle monitor device? So he was pretty hot. His deputies, he was upset, rightfully so. And not saying that you may be saying to yourself, well, they were sheriff deputies, that was their responsibility. That's what they do, or that's what they get. The famous, you don't like law enforcement. But what if that had happened to you and or I? What if we were just out and about, and somehow, some way, this guy felt cornered, or he became upset, or whatever, and had his gun out and just started shooting at us? How would you feel then? So my question is, same question that the sheriff had, or stating is, we have to come up with a better way of, when these people commit these crimes or are alleged to have committed these crimes and they're violent, or it's a violent crime, we have to figure out a criteria that whether they get bond or release, or they sit in jail until their trial date. The judge fired back. He or she said, my record stands firm. I'm firm and fair. I don't always release people on bond, but he or she said, I felt like this was an instance where it was okay to release this person on bond with that electronic ankle monitoring device. And that's what I'm getting from the sheriff. Yeah, we do have to figure out a better system than what we have in place now, because this is happening way too often in this country, where these violent offenders are released and they're out on bond or bail or whatever, or what have you, and then they commit another violent act, and then you put them back in jail, and this time you say, well, you ain't got no bond. Perhaps you shouldn't have been out in the first place. I don't know everything that happened with this case. I don't know what the situation was, why he was allowed to be out walking around with that monitor on and to have possession of a gun. But there has to be a better way. We have to come up with something better than what we have in place now. Because like I said, this is happening few and far in between. This is happening way too often. When we go back after these guys have committed these violent acts or whatever, or what have you, and we find that they had previous charges, and quite possibly we get to thinking and we get to saying, maybe this guy shouldn't have been out amongst us. And hey, we all know, have heard about a week or so ago, that mass shooting up in Maine. That guy, the reservist, who law enforcement knew he had a mental problem. The United States Army National Guard notified the law enforcement that, hey, this guy is mentally unstable. He has already threatened to shoot up another military installation. Law enforcement said, we tried to get in contact with him, couldn't get in contact with him. They let him go. He ends up in a mass shooting, killing innocent people at a bowling alley in a bar. So when that sheriff down in Robeson County came out and said, we got to come out with a better way than what we're doing as we monitor and track these people, and then we find out they do something like this. Yeah, we do. There's no one that can convince me whether you could say that'll be like racial profiling, or you putting people in a box. I don't care. I just don't. Because when we go that route of trying to be sincere and caring and understanding with someone that already has a violent record, that has shown their violence or their mental anguish or illness, it doesn't end well for us, regular citizens. So, hey, maybe I'm that lone wolf standing out on that proverbial limb once again, but I really think we need to take a look at how this system is set up and how we just allow folks to roam amongst us that really don't need to be amongst us once they show their, like I said to you guys, I'm not trying to be a butthead here, but that's just the actuality of it. For me, that's the way I feel about it. That guy here in Robinson County, hey, maybe. Chances are he shouldn't have been out. That gentleman up in Maine a week or so ago, he shouldn't have been out. Just shouldn't. He shouldn't have been nowhere near free. And the proof is in the pudding. Now we see what he's done. Just saying. All right, I'm gonna go on this skedaddle, get myself up out of here, Once again, hit that like and subscribe button and that bell so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts, keep you in the loop. And as always, I want to thank each and every one of you for lending me your ears this morning. Continue to like, support, and share, and follow on YouTube. Yeah, I think I'm going to do away with Anchor and Spotify. Something's going to ride. I guess it's personal growth. I really do. It's growth. So look for me on YouTube or my Facebook or Instagram page. Or, hey, I'm on TikTok also. I'm going to be doing a few little short montages there also. Hey, you got to grow and you got to be willing to grow and accept change. There's no way around it. Hey, we're all human beings. We're all grown. We're all adults. If you stand still or stand stagnant for so long, you get what you get, which is no growth, nothing. You're in the same spot for however long you are. And hey, I would like to thank you all once again for lending me your ears this morning. And as always, my name is Stephen Carnegie for This Is Just a Thought. Amen.